Hello, I'm the Evening Standard's chief football correspondent Dan Kilpatrick, and I'm pleased to be joined today by a footballing legend. Born in East London, the youngest of 12, Sol Campbell began his career as a striker for the West Ham and Tottenham youth teams. He successfully captained Spurs in the 98-99 season, becoming the first black captain to lift a major trophy at Wembley. He was then part of Arsenal's legendary Invincible side and earned 73 caps for England. Since hanging up his boots, Sol has pursued a managerial career with positions at Macclesfield Town and Southend United. He lives here in London with his wife Fiona. Sol Campbell, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Let's start by talking about the past year. Strange for everybody, obviously. How did you spend it? I mean, did you slow down? Did you have time to reflect on things?
I think everybody, in the beginning, everybody had to take stock. Everyone had to stop and really kind of look at where they are, what they're doing, who are their friends and work-wise. And it was interesting, family. Some people were, maybe I'm not saying never seeing their family, but working all the time. It was one of the first times people could say in a long time that they were at home all the time. Partners, husband and wives, and it kind of really sent a real shock to everybody in a nice way. And then obviously time went on. It was kind of what's happening? What's happening in the world? What are we doing? And then obviously the doubt kind of creeps in as well. Some people have survived and come out, and others haven't. And there is going to be a legacy. There's going to be some type of drag with people coming out of this now. And who knows how it's going to kind of fall. But I think the mental side is a big thing for everybody. And it doesn't really matter your paycheck. Everyone's being affected in their own way.
So you mentioned the mental side there. We all had to find ways to kind of keep our bodies and minds active and still going. I mean, how did you do it during the lockdowns?
For me, just with the family, really. Bike rides, trying to kind of active, playing games, playing chess, playing Monopoly or whatever, school work. We were lucky enough to have some kind of system that the kids could work from home. And then, when we could, have just walks with the family. Just nice walks. We were based a little bit in London and also the countryside. So it was a mixture, really.
Let's talk about football and specifically England's Euro 2020 chances. This week, Ben White was added to the squad as a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe surprised a few people who thought Ward-Prowse or Jesse Lingard might get the nod. As a former centre-half yourself, what do you make of the selection?
I think he can. White can play right back. He can play centre half, and in fact, I think occasionally he's played in a kind of a sitting role, just in front of the back 4 or 3. Who knows? Whichever way Gareth goes, but he can play 1, 2, 3 positions. So I think that's the reason why he's brought him in. And I do think now 3 right backs is enough. And I think it's a shame that someone gets injured, but I think there's less headaches for Gareth.
Do you think Gareth's got the balance in the squad about right?
I think adding another a guy who can move around the back line, because you never know, injuries, bad form. Coming on to kind of fill a gap in for like 20 minutes, or it's good to have players like that. It's good to have specialists in their positions, but if one of the guys can play a couple of positions, sometimes football happens and moves so fast. A couple of injuries and a player comes out, and if you can slot in, if you've got enough players who can slot in and do a really good job, it's better. You've got more ammunition. You've got more strings to your bow, especially in the competitions. You've got to be flexible, and you've got to have the specialist players in their position, but you've got to have a few flexible players as well.
Mm-hmm. One of the issues that's threatening to overshadow the tournament a little bit is the booing of the taking the knee. We saw that in Middlesbrough twice in the warm-up games. Gareth Southgate said England are going to carry on doing it throughout the tournament. He suggested they're not really going to talk about it. They made their decision. Have they made the right call?
I think that I can understand the players and some fans, if you go back, I think if there were fans allowed in and they were taking the knee, I think, the impact's even bigger, because I felt when there was no fault of our own, but when there was no one in the crowd, it's just the staff and a few media people. Sometimes when you're watching it from home, it hasn't got that impact, and so people watching probably say, "Well, we've done a year of this and blah blah blah. We've done enough." But now I think it's actually important to do it whilst the crowds are there, because I think there's more impact. And I think, if you're with your son or daughter or whatever, or family, and they're taking the knee, and the daughter says, "Oh, what are you doing, Daddy?" Or "What are you doing, Mummy?" Well, it's because they're totally believe in this kind of, this racial equality and that kind of movement, and people actually thinking about this deeply, and they're standing up for something that is right. So I think for me, once the crowds come back, I think it's important to do it, because I think it's more of an impact. I think it hits the right spots, and I think people have to realise, this is racism. It goes into many areas. It's not just football, and football is one of the biggest platforms out there. And who knows? Are they going to do it forever? But I think England is standing up for what is true, and trying to make a statement. And it's guys now who play football, they're icons. They've got their own platforms and things like that. And I think it's nice to stand up and prove that, hey, we are better than this. We're above this. We want change. Mm-hmm. We want positive change. We want to tell the world that this means a lot to us. And sport, whatever level, at higher level, the access it has. It's incredible to all areas of society. So I think it's important, and it's the biggest stage. The Euros are upon us. And I think it's good to have that. I think just people need to. I get why people are doing it. Some of the fans and also some of the players as well. Is there change? Are we changing? So I feel now the fans are coming back. I think there's more impact, and I think you can get the point across better, because the fans are in. Well, some of the fans are back in. It's limited, but I think there's more of an impact.
You've spoken about your own experiences of racism as a player, and since you finished your playing career. How have they impacted you, both as a person and now as a football manager?
I think a person, I'm positive. I think it's not. You're always going to come against adversity. I think you got to kind of, keep going. Not always turn the other cheek. Sometimes you got to face up to it and say, confront it. I think that's important in an intelligent way, not just ranting and raving. Actually think about it and look at why is it happening. And I think for me, yes, it's there, but hopefully with these kind of scenarios of England and the Premier League, trying to kind of push this into the forefront of people's minds, and it's all about consciousness. It's all about reversing all the kind of ill talk about over the decades in football, and making people realise that quality is held by all shapes and sizes and colours. That's what you've got to get across. There's loads of black managers out there, or black coaches, or potential black coaches and managers out there that could easily do a fantastic job. And I think it's about opening your mind to that diversity. Diversity works, and it's proven in other areas. So I think people have to get over that and allow that to come into the companies, into the football clubs, into the committees, into the directors. That kind of mentality is key, because you can quite easily miss things when you're trying to make a decision, and if everybody's looking the same, you can quite easily miss something significant. I don't want colour to be a barrier. It shouldn't be a barrier anymore.
Well, let's talk about black managers then, because clearly it's still a massive problem in the game. I think there have only been 9 in the Premier League. You've spoken about your own experiences. How much work is there still to do? Do you still feel it's a barrier to yourself getting a top job? Do you still feel frustrated by the situation?
I think the numbers don't lie, really. when you look at it, when you look at the amount of black players that played in the Premier League or Premiership over the years, recently I think it's about 14%. Mm-hmm. That doesn't equate into managerial positions up and down. You can even go to, people are talking about the first 7 leagues. There's not many black managers there, so it's not just black managers. It's coaches, it's physios, it's goalkeeper coaches, it's doctors, it's kit men. It's not just we're just focusing on the managers. Hey, we've got to start trickling down. It's coaches in for the under 15s, under 14s, and when you look at the numbers there, it's a stark kind of wow. It's even less when you look at it. So it's all about changing the whole spectrum, from top to toe, from directors to chairmen to owners. Things like that. Who knows? If it's more welcoming, you never know. You might get someone from Africa buying, or buying a football club, a Premier League club. So you just never know. So you should be open to all sorts of things. And Premier League have been fantastic in opening. From when they first started, opening up the league, breaking away, starting a new type of league. They're open to those things. So this is the next chapter. Yeah.
Well, hopefully football's moving in that direction post the Super League. You were linked recently with the England under-21 job. Were you in the frame for that? And if so, were you frustrated not to get it or get further?
Well, I think for me, it was an honour to be, asked, would you like to apply? So, it's England. I've had a fantastic career as a player. I've played at all levels. I've managed a couple of clubs. And that would have been a fantastic job for me. I know England inside out. I know the players. I know the level. You have to be if you want to make a difference in international football. I know how to do my, look at the players and use the data and bring it together. Training, I've trained at for Arsenal at the highest level and the highest training to get the best out. I know what quality is, and I can get the quality out of players. Mm-hmm. And I'm flexible with the under 21s. You got to be happy to lose players to the first team, or sometimes they jump over you straight into the first team. And I had a good interview. It's a shame I couldn't go any further. So. But it was an honour to be asked, and you just never know. It's another experience, but who knows? Another time, it could be a different story.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about London and specifically getting London moving in the wake of the pandemic. Activity has been a problem during the lockdown for obvious reasons. Are there any kind of initiatives you would like to see implemented? How essential is it to get people back on their feet and get exercising again?
I think councils should look at doing small kind of events in parks, up and down across London. Just get together. If invite some ex-footballers or footballers now. If you've got some have swimming pools, invite some top swimmers, or some have nice cycling areas. Invite some cyclists to come in. Maybe they've represented Great Britain or in the Commonwealth. Maybe Scotland, Wales, or whatever, England. Get them involved. All sorts of sports, and I think get people engaged again. Because sometimes you can retract and you don't want to go out and you just want to, so many people got used to just playing on the PlayStation or whatever, some kids. I think, we've got to start. And, we're blessed with parks. Mm-hmm. We're blessed with parks. So I think engaging in some sporting icons in individual parks, north, west, east, south, all over London, because we've got enough parks out there, and somehow work together to kind of reignite and kickstart people going out. And also tennis. A lot of the parks, tennis courts. I'm from West Plaistow. My local park was West Ham Park. We've got a tennis court. We've got, sometimes in the summer they mark out athletics track. We've got a look. I think there's still a basketball place going on there, court going on there, and there's football as well. So that's a lot to kind of engage. And I think kickstart with those kind of events. I think, and then a lot of guys and women will be interested.
You mentioned opening up London and perhaps getting former and current sports stars involved there, which seems like a great idea.
And also you could do music as well. It's anything, yeah.
Well, it seems like a great idea, and that one of the issues post-pandemic is the fact that more deprived communities struggle to get access to elite sports like swimming and like tennis and like golf. Clearly you've recognised that as an issue. Is that perhaps a bigger problem than people realise, and could that initiative be one to kind of bridge the gap between elite sports and...
Yeah, I think so. Because West Ham Park, I was born in the 70s, and West Ham Park used to have a little swimming pool, and it was connected with the playground, and that kind of obviously over the years went. So they've got space to put another swimming pool or Lido. I think most parks have got spaces, and then when you look at it. The amount of kids who can't swim from inner cities, I don't know the figures, but it's probably quite high. And if you've got something on your doorstep, okay, Stratford, you've got the Olympic pool, but not everyone wants to go there. You want to just walk maybe 10 minutes to the pool. So for me, the more access, the more pools are out there, the more you're going to naturally be encouraged to use it. We should be allowed kids to kind of participate in everything, and sometimes, we've got to have the coaches as well, because, my school was Portway Juniors, and, we used to go to a Romford, it's called, on the Romford Road, they had a swimming pool, but it was one lesson. We didn't have money to go and get more lessons from a private coach. So you in the end you kind of the good ones at the top, the intermediate in the middle, and the bad ones, and you don't get no coaching. So I think it's all about the coaching as well.
Was it always football for you then, or do you think if you'd had access to tennis courts?
I had tennis courts.
You did?
Yeah, I had tennis. I love tennis. I had tennis courts. I used to jump over the gates and play tennis. And once if the parking comes along, we need £1 for. I said, well, see you later. I'm gone. I ain't got the money.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's got to be free.
Yeah.
Football was free, so it's easy to kind of. But tennis, you have to obviously. We used to get a kind of second-hand tennis racket, but then they wanted £1 to kind of play an hour. Well, in the 80s, I didn't have that money. I wasn't paying £1
more
to play tennis.
More expensive now, I think. Yeah. Time's got away from us, Sol. But so just finally, London's opening up now. We hope it's going to continue in that vein. Yeah, have you been kind of enjoying the new freedoms, and what do you hope is kind of next for you, career-wise?
I've enjoyed London. London is a lot busier now. You can see it, you can feel it. I think we just have to make sure everybody is, the vaccination program just keeps on rolling, and we kind of move that along, and they're doing wonderful with that. It's incredible. So I've enjoyed, people slowly kind of, the streets are getting busier, the bars or the restaurants, and people are understanding, what to do, and I think I think in London, we're switched on in the sense like, let's carry on doing the right things. Don't try to go way over the top. Let's keep this moving, because we know what's there. We don't want to go back there. So let's follow the rules and let's start kind of moving together. You can go to restaurants, wear your face mask, things like that, wash your hands. We can, and restaurants are opening and things like that, because everything's affected. If we don't follow the rules, it kind of, you can easily go backwards, regress. So we don't want to go back. We want to go forward. And then I think everyone's respecting the rules, but knowing that there's a plan to go forward and slowly open up with reasonable kind of restrictions, and being kind of switched on about it, we can steadily, with the vaccination program, get out of this. And then restrictions in the sense that masks and things like that might have to carry on. But if I'm starting to be freer in London, I don't mind that. I want that. I don't want to go back to kind of sitting at home and getting in kind of takeouts and things like that, or cooking at home all the time. I want to be out. I want to be in the park. I want to be walking in the street. I want to have a random coffee. I want to go to the pub, have a drink and things like that. But if I have to wear a mask and follow the things, I can still have that. I don't mind doing that until everything's kind of clear.
Sol Campbell, we've run out of time, I'm afraid, but thanks so much for joining you. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.